We have a hero story.
Figure it out.
Share. We have a hero story. This guy, Yash Deep, is a hero. He says here, I fired an employee going through a tough divorce. One of my employees was stuck in a messy divorce. His wife demanded half his income. As a good boss, I couldn't stand by, so I did the most compassionate thing possible. I fired him. Why? No income, no alimony. The divorce was finalized with negligible alimony, and financial ruin was averted. The dust settled. I rehired him. Now he's back, better than ever, with a clean slate and no ex-spouse draining his paychecks monthly. Being a leader isn't about making easy decisions, it's about making smart ones. Like I said, but not all heroes will wear capes.
Aren't there ways that, I mean, is this reality? Because I mean, everything that I know about alimony is like, if you start coming into some more money, or you start coming in, you do better at work, or you get another source of income, they can still come after you.
Yeah, there's places where it depends where you live. Like there was a famous Joe Rogan interview with this Canadian guy way back in the day when he first started his podcast. I can't remember the guy's name for the life of me right now, but the judge awarded alimony based on his prior 3-year tax returns. So even if he quit his job for 6 months, the judge still said, even though you're not working, we've got to enforce alimony payments based on what you made the last 3 years that you filed your taxes. Which, I mean, the argument that they had back and forth is how the hell do you pay something based on prior income when you don't have an income right now? Because I think he was an actor or a stand-up comic or something.
That's what it was. He was a comic. He's like, I'm not getting this kind of work anymore. Yeah. He's like, I was going on a huge run before. I had like a special, or I was just working crazy at the Cellar or wherever he was doing comedy. He's like, I'm not working regularly anymore. Like I haven't touched that level of income, and but they're just like, doesn't matter. Like the quote, it's like, it was something crazy, and I'm going to probably butcher it. We'll have to maybe pull it up. Jamie, pull that up. No, it's like something along the lines of like your inability to pay does not relieve you of your obligation to pay. Yeah. Something like that. It's like the fact that you can't pay this doesn't relieve you of your obligation. Like the most crazy ass backwards. Imagine somebody saying that to you.
Blood from a stone thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
But people wonder why you should have family law works depending on the jurisdiction that you're in. There's places in the world where it's based on your current paycheck. There's places where they base it on your prior tax filings. That's why when I tell you guys, because I mean, I get the question often is, how do you get married and minimize the risk? And there's like a 3.5-hour module in the School of Unplugging where I break down step by step in a very precise way. Every other week, I get a guy that calls in. He's like, Rich, how do I minimize the risk? It's like, all right, I got 10 minutes. Let's deal with this quickly. Yeah. But if you want to know the step by step, it's all in the School of Unplugging. And there's a lot of steps you have to take to minimize it. So if you're not prepared to make or take those steps and you don't want the risks, don't get married. That's why smart men don't fucking marry. Don't live in a way that looks like marriage, or move somewhere where it's not hostile.
Yeah, I mean, you're like.
And by not knowing, fuck her, who cares?
Right. By not knowing this information and not being brushed up, you are taking the biggest gamble of your entire life. I mean, guys will put more stake into the car they're going to buy, making sure it has the right horsepower or the right tuning, or it has enough seats, or it has the interior, the color that they want, or the mileage, or whatever, or the house they're going to buy. But they won't do the same about a woman, and they're not going to set themselves up to be as protected as humanly possible. And all of that, I think, boils down to the gynocentric society that if you trust her, there's a lot of discourse now going, I hate the word discourse, but there's a lot of chatter going on X right now about talking about government mandated paternity tests, and these guys that are coming out of the woodwork. Oh my God, I would never ask my wife to do that. Oh my God, like, if you don't believe her 100%, then you shouldn't be with her or marry her. It's like, yeah, let's just disregard the fact that anywhere from 10 to 33% of all men are raising children that aren't theirs. But
did you ever get around to that?
Be honorable. No, I haven't read it, but it's on my list.
Yeah, you got to go.
I'm almost like, how much black pill can I take, man? Like, how much doom and gloom do I really?
Well, if you can't take it, then I would say wait for it. But if you guys want to go down a rabbit hole of the black pill, read Sperm Wars, and you'll realize how disgusting women can potentially be, and how they can be so mischievous and deceive guys. Like that book has been condemned, right? Like I was reading up on some of the reviews, and there's been a lot of institutions that have tried to get that book removed. They've tried to discredit it, but the authors are like, accredited researchers that put the information together. And it's like, you know, you mentioned it earlier, but it's about 10 to 30%. Like, we don't have accurate information on how many women step out or deceive men in a marriage with paternity fraud. But the best source of information that I could find, and I was looking for comprehensive data when I was writing my book, and it's very, very difficult to find. The best information that I found was from the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, because when you go in there with a sick child, they have to blood test the child and they have to blood test the parents for genetic information to try to get to the bottom of whatever disease they have and how they can cure it. And one of the problems that they've run across is when they're blood testing the father, there's been instances somewhere between 10 and 30% of the time where the guy that thinks he's a father of the child turns out not to be the father of the child. And they don't tell the fucking guy. The hospital won't tell him. What they do is they take the mom aside and they're like, hey, we got to tell you this because we can't tell the father or the guy that thinks he's the father because he's not the dad. And she's probably sitting there going, oh, I guess it might have been Tom or Chad or Tyrone or Leroy or some shit like that. And it's like, paternity test your kids, guys. You know, if you're going to have children and you've got even a minor amount of questioning, paternity test it, because otherwise you could put yourself in a position where you raise some other dude's kid. Just be careful is all I'm saying.
And you got to do it early, really quick. You got to do it early.
Yeah.
There's some, even in a place like Florida, even I think it's like once your name is on that birth certificate, you're screwed, dude. You can go and get a test and you can go and you can get DNA proof. It's like, it does not matter. You're on the birth certificate. You have assumed responsibility for that child as its legal parent. You're on the hook, man. So, you know, like if you're going to do it, you got to do it right away.
Yeah. All right, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.